But of course, I'm glad to fight again, to fight against Canelo, one of the best fighter in the world now.
Dmitry, do you believe your last few fights, you haven't been able to get the fight you wanted, the bigger names. Do you think the last couple of fights have prepared you for what you're gonna face on May 7th?
Мои последние бои типа подготовили.
Ты не смог получить определенных соперников. Ты считаешь, что это была подготовка к тому, что будет 7 мая? Последние несколько боев.
Скажи, что я думаю, что может быть эти бои там прошли не так, как я бы хотел, но тем не менее они привели меня к такому бою. Я этому рад. Я надеюсь, что я буду в более лучшей форме.
Yes, maybe some people think that those fights did not go maybe the way I wanted or were not the types of opponents I wanted, but they definitely got me this fight, and I'm going to be in my best shape, and I'm going to be ready on May 7th to perform and do my best.
Dmitry, you come to this fight with everything that's going on back in your homeland, and I know that's probably something that's on your mind. What are your thoughts about what's happening with Russia and Ukraine right now?
First of all, of course, I have a lot of friends in Ukraine. I have a lot of friends in Russia. My family lives in Russia. I have a lot of friends everywhere, and I wish them only peace, and only the best. It's really sad for me. Every day I wake up and read the news, and I hope stop.
How are you dealing with that? Are you trying not to watch a lot of news, or trying to not watch a lot of TV?
Как ты с этим живешь сейчас? То есть ты стараешься это больше не смотреть на это, на новости, на телевидении?
Ну, я стараюсь, конечно, от этого абстрагироваться, потому что я всегда был вне политики, и в политике я не разбираюсь. Но война — это все-таки часть политики, наверное. Но это выскакивает всегда, и охота, чтобы уже это все завершилось, и обратно был мир.
Yeah, in a way, I try to stay away from it because I've always been out of politics, and war is more closer to politics and a lot of political things that happen. And I'm not a politician, I'm not a professional to understand it completely. But now it's kind of hard to ignore it.
Do you live in the U.S. full time now?
Ты сейчас живешь здесь постоянно?
No, I live in Russia, and I came here to prepare to next fight.
You're in St. Petersburg?
St. Petersburg, yeah.
Were you concerned, or particularly you, Vadim, concerned that the situation might affect your ability to put this fight on? Politics aside, just the logistics, the geography, the sanctioning issues, are there any concerns?
Ты переживал о том, что как-то это может повлиять на бой, вся эта ситуация и так далее?
Ну, какие-то мысли есть такие, но я надеюсь, что все-таки политика и спорт — это разные вещи, это издревле так было принято. Я надеюсь, что все-таки люди будут разделять политику и спорт.
Yes, it's always, sometimes it gets me worried, Dmitry said, but it's always been sports and politics have been separated, and it's been historically that way, and I believe that it should stay that way. And in my opinion as well, I just don't think this is related in any way. This is a competition. It's a sports competition between two fighters, and I think it's important to respect that. And I don't think it's related to the other things that are happening right now in any way. And I think a lot of people will support that.
Why do you think you'll beat Canelo?
What?
Why do you think you'll beat Canelo?
Why I could beat?
Почему ты считаешь, что ты победишь?
Because I believe in my skills. Every time when I came to the ring, I believe that I could beat my opponent. And why I couldn't beat him? Of course, he has a lot of fans. It makes him better than me on media. But he's still the man, and he is fighting a lower category than me. And yes, he has power, but I have power too. He has good skills, but my skills is good too.
You knocked a lot of people out early in your career.
But I won them.
Early in your career, you knocked a lot of people out. Recently, you haven't knocked that many people out. Has anything changed with you that's made those knockouts come less frequently?
Что-то поменялось? Почему стали реже бои заканчиваться нокаутом, чем в начале карьеры?
I think opponent changed. Some opponents doesn't wanna win when they come to the ring against me. Some opponents just tough. But I don't think about finish the fight by knockout, because if you think about it, you forget about your combinations, your defense, your plan. You just have to make in the ring what you do on the training.
Have you watched a lot of Canelo's former fights?
Yeah, of course, I watched them since he fought Floyd Mayweather.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the most important one of all those that means the most for you as you head into this fight?
Какой бой для тебя более важный, который ты можешь выделить?
Maybe something you saw as the most encouraging as you head into this bout.
Что-то,
Я
может,
бы
у
не
тебя-
сказал, что мне какой-то один бой его понравился или не понравился, но я смотрел все бои, и во всех боях я видел какие-то его плюсы, какие-то минусы. Где-то он проявлял себя очень прям напористо и показывал свою физическую мощь, а в каких-то боях не удавалось. То есть, все бои нужно анализировать. Не могу выделить какой-то один, я как-то по-другому мыслю.
It's hard to point out one fight, but I've pointed out things from all of his fights here and there, and he's sometimes different. In certain fights, he's more aggressive and more athletic. In other fights, he's more he tries to box more. And from all the fights that I've seen, I've taken certain things that I think that are important to keep in mind while fighting him and trying to use trying to do your best in the fight.
What will you do differently than Sergey Kovalev?
Что ты сделаешь по-другому в сравнении с Сергеем Ковалевым?
First of all, I'm not Sergey Kovalev, and I different fighter than Sergey, and I talked to him, to Sergey, and he said he just doesn't have enough time to prepare, and he after 7 rounds he just feel himself empty, and I just think about it and work on this.
When we spoke to Canelo, he has much respect for you as a fighter.
Me too. I respect him, of course.
That was my question. Will he be the toughest opponent you've ever faced?
Yeah, of course he's the best opponent, because all the world knows him, and he proved that he one of the best. He has a belt in four divisions. Yeah, and of course I respect him. If I don't respect him, it's stupid to go to the ring and fight him.
How long have you lived in St. Petersburg?
Since my 11 years. I born in Kyrgyzstan, then when I was 11, my parents moved to St. Petersburg.
With all this happening now, do you feel like you have to be kind of careful with what you say about what's happening?
Скажи, что я вообще считаю, что нужно быть осторожным, когда ты что-то говоришь. Неважно, что сейчас или это было раньше. Я всегда, когда понял, что общаюсь с журналистами и мои интервью показывают людям, всегда нужно думать, о чем ты говоришь, потому что это могут услышать и те же дети. То есть...
Yes, I think it's important right now, but I believe that it's always important to be careful with what you say, especially when you're talking to press, which would be something that would be aired all over the world. And I know that kids, different people would see this, and I think it's always important to stay smart and say, be careful with the words you say.
Я считаю, что нужно все-таки говорить о том, в чем ты разбираешься. Если я разбираюсь в спорте, я готов разговаривать о спорте, но я не вирусолог, и про коронавирус я сейчас тоже не могу с вами общаться, потому что и про политику я не политик.
But concerning this specific question and situation, it's always important to be more talkative about things that you're an expert in. So, for example, I'm not a doctor. I don't understand viruses, so I would not be able to speak about COVID. And the situation here is related to politics. It's not something I completely understand, so it's hard for me to say much. But if we're talking about sports, I'm willing to say a lot because I'm a professional.
Do you feel like it's fair that Russian athletes are being punished in a way by, the sanctioning bodies in boxing or, international competition? They're not being allowed to compete. Do you think that's fair that Russian athletes are being punished?
Считаю, что это справедливо, что российские спортсмены где-то ограничены.
Ну, я считаю, что вообще спорт и политика это разные вещи, это раз. При том я вспоминаю себя, я с самого детства, у меня в голове было одно – добиться успеха в спорте. То есть люди, которые никуда не лезут, наверное, это как-то не очень справедливо к ним.
My opinion, as a kid, I was growing up, I always wanted to be an athlete, I wanted to be successful, so that's been my goal, and I think that if people are not specifically taking any type of negative action or not taking any type of steps to affect the political situation, should not be punished because they're not related to that. They're in the sports game, they're not related to the politics, that's part of it.
His last question, please. Sorry.
Do you have a lot of, I'm sorry.
No, you
I was
take
going
it.
to ask, do you have a lot of family back in St. Petersburg still?
Yeah.
How are they doing? How are they dealing with all that's going on?
Да, у меня жена общается каждый день с друзьями со всего мира, и все как бы в шоке, и также с Украины с друзьями общается. Конечно, она каждый день встает, она в таком в нервозе легком, да, потому что охота, чтобы все сохранились в здравии.
My wife is there, my kids, and my other friends and family. They're all waking up every morning. They're talking to everybody all over the world, in the Ukraine, all over. And people are right now in a state of nervousness. Nobody's really accepting what's going on because they're not accepting any type of what's happening. Because they're not thinking of politics. They're thinking about what they're seeing. So obviously, this is not something that anybody enjoys, and I hope that this is over.
In the last press conference, it got pretty crazy with Canelo and Plant. Canelo was very aggressive. And you already told us that you're very respectful and him also. How important is the mental game in facing Canelo before the fight?
Как это важно, да, типа?
Последняя пресс-конференция, там была агрессия и так далее. Да, насколько важно психологически подойти к бою?
Быть ментально подготовиться к бою — это одна из важных, на самом деле, причин. Ты можешь натренировать хорошие комбинации, там, быть физически готовым, но если ты ментально не веришь в свою победу, то, конечно же, все твои навыки, они сразу забирают процентов, наверное, 40 минимум, снижаются на процентов 40 минимум. Поэтому важно быть ментально подготовленным, но я как бы в боксе с 6 лет своих, и я понимаю, что все, что происходит вне ринга, это не важно, не настолько важно, как важно выйти в ринг и вот и там сделать свое дело.
Yeah, the mental game is very important overall because you can do a lot of preparations, combinations, planning, and all of that. But if you're not mentally believing that you're going to win, that takes about 40% of the possibility of you actually winning the fight, even if you've done the physical part. But as far as press conferences and stuff, in reality, the most important part is going in the ring. I believe that my mental is my personal that I have to take care of and be prepared mentally. As far as the PR and the preparations, that's not that important. The important part is getting in the ring in the right state of mind and believing in yourself.
What would a win say about you, prove about you, if you defeat Canelo?
Если ты победишь, что это для тебя будет значить? Что это какой смысл в этом?
I have a goal to be the undisputed champion, and this win give me more opportunity to make a fight for another belt, I think. And of course, more people will know me, something like that.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.